أحسن الحسنى وزيادة ولا يرهق وجوههم قتر ولا ذلة.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Dear viewers, welcome you on channel Al-Huda TV for the series of errors and corrections. By this series, we are clarifying and clearing the errors that some Muslims fall into, and they consider it is ibadah, the worshiping. So our ultimate goal of this program or this show is actually to make it clear for brothers and sisters the errors that they may fall into too, and what is the correction of this error. And one of the errors also that Muslim could fall into is not getting married, which we call it in Arabic at-tabattul, not getting married, either a man or a woman. And this is absolutely, of course, is not allowed in Islam. You should not really, Islam does not permit a man or a woman not to get married. And they completely delaying marriage because of circumstances, because you cannot afford now, you want to finish your study, that's no problem. But to have to make a decision or to have the intention that I will not get married at all, whether you are a man or woman, this is not allowed in Islam. Or, some men, they go to the hospital or go to certain people and they just completely extract, their balls completely. They extract their balls and they said, so I don't feel any, so in the future I will not have, the tendency or the feeling of other to women. This is also not supposed, this is not allowed to do that. Also, one of the things Islam does not permit is to have two sisters as wives for you. We should not al-jam' bayn al-akhwatayn. You should not have two sisters for you as wives, or even a woman and her aunt, or this is also not supposed to be in Islam. Or a man marry his father wife, even if he is not mother. Let's say your father is married to other women, not your mother. Your mother died or he divorced your mother, then he married another woman. Once this woman become a wife of your father, once she become wife, even after he died, your father, or divorces, in Islam does not permit you, the son of this father, to marry your father's wife. Or marrying, a woman have partner with Allah, al-mushrika. You should not marry a woman or get married to a woman who she have take other idols or pictures or even a person as a partner, as a god other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Neither you also give your daughter or your sister to a person who having a partner with Allah, mushrik. Also in Islam is not permitting what you call ash-shighar. Ash-shighar is one of the type of marriage, but is not permissible in Islam. And actually, my brother and sister, many people unfortunately fall in this error. What they do actually, they will say, you marry me your sister, I marry you my sister. Exchange women. All right? Even with mahar, this is not, of course, allowed in Islam. This is one of the major errors many people fall into. In Islam, they call it ash-shighar. This is not permissible. Then I marry, okay, I may come and ask your daughter or your sister for marriage, but without dictating, without, a condition, without any condition. And after I married your daughter or your sister, then you want to marry my daughter or sister, this is something else. But you should not put it as a condition. You marry me your daughter or sister, then I marry your sister. This is absolutely not allowed in Islam. They call it ash-shighar. Also, one of the actually unlawful marriage, which is spreading out, especially lately, in many countries, especially Muslim country, where they call it in Arabic nikah al-mut'ah, pleasure marriage. What is this? Nikah al-mut'ah is that the lady herself, she married herself, she agreed to marry a person without the permission of her, responsible wali, al-wali. She really need the approval of her wali, which is either a father or uncle or a son or any one of her relatives who is actually cannot marry her, a grandfather, an uncle, a son, or a father, of course. The father is first. Unfortunately, this type of marriage, we call it nikah al-mut'ah or pleasure marriage, is spreading out in many Muslim countries. And what they do, the woman, she said, okay, I give you myself as a wife, and I accept you as a husband. She marry herself. She gave herself to the man without the approval of her father. This is absolutely not allowed in Islam. And it's actually, some ulama, they consider it is actually fornication. This is a fornication marriage. This is adultery marriage. Because Rasulullah ﷺ said, no woman is allowed to marry herself to any person without wali. And if she does, her marriage is invalid, is invalid, is invalid. 3 times Rasulullah ﷺ. He said, her marriage is invalid 3 times. So no woman is allowed to marry herself without permission of her father or uncle or a wali. They call it wali in Islam. Very important. She should not do that. Also, that if some, there are some errors some people fall in, some of the Muslim, he knows that this lady is being asked by other brother. Somebody asked her hand, all right? And he wanted that lady. Then what he does, then he goes to her father, he said, me also want this woman. He's trying to persuade or to convince her father or her wali, he said, just leave that man, the one who before, just take me as a husband for your wife. This is absolutely haram. In Islam, once there is a brother, he is already engaged or he asked any certain lady to marry, you should not go behind him and then ask that lady also for marriage. This is not actually allowed in Islam. Also, the woman who already, she is actually in the iddah after her husband died, she should, as I mentioned in other episode, that the woman who dies, she should stay 4 months and 10 days before remarried. Then also, men are not allowed to ask her for marriage until she finish this 4 months, 10 days. So this is not allowed, is not permissible in Islam for the Muslim to go and ask the woman who her husband died, to ask him until she finish the iddah, which is 4 months and 10 days. One of also the errors which actually is spreading out, and it is really becoming common nowadays, is when somebody divorces his wife, he will kick her out from his house. He will tell her, come on, go your home, go to your father. This is not actually permissible in Islam. I refer you, my brother and sister, to Surah Al-Talaq. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned talaq, that when you divorce your wife, you should not ask her to leave, neither she leave herself. Neither you, you as a husband, you have no right whatsoever to kick her out or to let her to ask her to leave your home. Or she leave by herself. She must stay with you at your home 3 period, not only 3 months. She must have 3 cycles. She must finish 3 cycles at your home before she, once she finishes the cycle or the period of menstruation 3 times, then she can leave. But while, before that, she has the full right to stay with you at home, and you have also no right whatsoever as a husband to ask her to leave home. Why? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He wanted that maybe during this period, 3 cycle, maybe you change your mind, she also change your mind, and then you go back together. But once she finish the 3 cycle, whether in 3 months or 2 months, because there are some women, they may have 3 cycles of menstruation in 2 months. But they see the ultimate, the most important thing, that the woman finish 3 cycles of menstruation before she leave home. So that's why I said, the woman, she should not leave home if her husband divorced her once, only the first divorce, even the second divorce. Even if he, again, after certain time, he divorced her second time, she should also stay. Unless he divorced her third time. Once he divorced the third time, then she must leave immediately. Then she go, because she's not his wife anymore. But the first divorce and the second divorce, the woman still considered to be his wife until she finish her cycles, 3 cycles. After she finishes the cycle, then if he wants to marry her, he must pay a new mahar and a new contract. But before, if he wants her to come back, he should ask her to come back before she finishes the 3rd cycle. If she finished the 3rd cycle, then he must make a new contract, marriage contract, and a new mahar. Also, some people, unfortunately, some men, they really trying to harm the woman who is divorced. He will just keep her, neither divorced or actually married. He had a quarrel with his wife, and then he sent her home, and then maybe she stays 6 months, 7 months, 1 year, 2 years. Neither he bring her back, all right? He did not divorce her. I will say he make it just hanging. She's hanging there. Muqalat in Arabic, mu'allaqa. This is absolutely not allowed in Islam to do this as a man, as a husband to your wife. Actually, you should really either you divorce her or bring her back. To keep her hanging like that, this is not allowed in Islam. You actually are hurting the woman. You are actually causing many problems. So it is not permissible in Islam. And this is actually one of the major errors many Muslim and husband fall into. And the correct thing to do, either you bring her back or divorce her. Don't keep her hanging for 1 year or 2 years. Also, one of the errors that women fall into, that she hide what Allah has given in her uterus. She hide what Allah gave me. A woman, if she's pregnant, she must tell about it. She must really declare that I'm pregnant. She's not supposed to actually hide what Allah gave her in uterus. Brothers and sisters, we come to conclude this episode. We look forward to see you again, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
أولئك